How embedded is the eurosclerosis? Is there a permanence that Commerzbank sees?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of factors. I mean, obviously, if you look at the sort of big picture macro story, what you're seeing is an economy which has struggled to gain traction after the biggest financial crisis in 80 years. That's being compounded by a demographic slowdown as well. So in a sense, Europe is going through what Japan went through maybe 20 years ago. So clearly the growth story in Europe has slowed. And I think the problem is being compounded by the fact that, as you pointed out, this is leading to or fanning the flames of populism, because basically the economy is not delivering what it once did. I mean, it wasn't fantastic before, but it's even worse now. And as a consequence, I think a lot of people feel that they're not getting a fair shake, and that's driving this, the Gilets jaunes, etc.
Yeah. But when you look at sclerosis, I mean, we're talking about slow economic growth with political institutional deadlock. I mean, is this more appropriate to call it, in the US? Is it US sclerosis more than eurosclerosis in 2019?
Well, actually, when I look at the way our forecasts have moved over the last 3 to 4 months, they've moved more to the downside in the US than in Europe. And maybe the surprise is the weakness in US GDP, and we'll know about Q4 this week, but Q1 doesn't look particularly strong. The Fed clearly is concerned. And there are no very good reasons, actually, behind this slowdown. But seen from the European point of view, the problem for us is the sort of double whammy. So we started being hit by the lack of traction from EM and from China in particular. And as we get into 19, we may be hit as well by a more mediocre pace of economic activity in the US. So for us, in any case, it's bad news.
OK, what happens to inflation in the US?
Personally, I don't think it goes very far. I mean, I think it remains relatively muted. I mean, obviously, the labour market is fairly tight, and you would expect to see slightly stronger wage inflation as a consequence. But the fact is that compared to the pre-recessionary period, workers have less pricing power. So they're unable to force through the kind of wage increases that they might well once have been able to do. And as a consequence, I rather think inflation will remain muted.